We are here in Charlevoix, Michigan at the Charlevoix Public Library on Tuesday, November 13th, 2007. And we are here to interview Charles Butcher, who's a World War II veteran. And we'll get started today. My name is Judith Ivan. I am an Assistant Adult Services Librarian, and the videographer is Rick Pierpont from Harbor Springs, Michigan. So just to get us started, what did you do before you joined the service?
Well, I enlisted in the Air Force when they opened enlistments in October 1944. But it was a big, there were a group of us, 6 boys, beginning seniors in high school in Fenton, Michigan. And we all went down to Detroit, and we passed the Air Force's 2-year college equivalent exam. Plus the flight physical for pilots, bombardiers, and navigators, and these were the same criteria that were required before the war started. And so then, as we turned 18, then we were called individually into service, active duty.
Okay. So, what was it like a little bit being in high school during the beginning of World War II?
Well, of course, we were all dumbfounded by the attack on Pearl Harbor, and the one question that was prevalent on everybody's lips was, "Where the hell is Pearl Harbor?" And
quick geography lesson.
Yes, very quick. And so I think I was, some of my friends heard the radio broadcast on the Sunday, but I didn't didn't know about it until Monday, and I think I was in study hall or something like that, and I heard about it.
And so you joined up then in 1944?
Yes.
Okay. And
in the reserves.
In the reserves. Oh. And then when did you go into active duty?
Active duty, I issued orders in August of 45, and I reported for duty in late August or early September.
And where did you serve then?
Oh, basic was at Keesler Field, Biloxi, Mississippi.
What type of training did you have?
They didn't need any more pilot, bombardiers, and navigators when we went in, so we all of us went in at that time during 1945 as basic soldiers and went through simply basic training. There was a series of tests to qualify us for different jobs as aircraft mechanics, gunnery, and radio operators, things of that nature. So that when we got out of basic, well, then we supposedly would go on to another school.
And what did you do?
We all got shipped overseas.
Didn't work like it was supposed to.
No, not quite. And nothing was working like it was supposed to. So I shipped over on the, well, they gave us a 15-day furlough, and they went to North Carolina, a replacement depot, and we shipped out to north by train up to Camp Shanks, New York, and they held us there a couple of days while it snowed some more. And then they trucked us down to the docks in New York City, in the New York Harbor. Put us aboard the George Washington, which was a troop ship. She was 700 feet long, single stacker, built by the German transit lines before World War I. Yeah, and she was in port in when the war broke out in 1917 for us, and we commandeered the ship and turned her into a troop ship. So she served in World War I and she served in World War II. And so we landed at Le Havre. I got put in the hospital at Le Havre, France. And I had contracted middle ear disease.
On the way over?
Yeah. Yeah. So I was there for about I think about a week, something like that. And then I was sent to, everything goes by alphabetical order, you know. And so I think there were about 9 of us that got released from the hospital at the same time, and this sergeant says, "Butcher." And I said, "Yes." He says, "Take these guys to Paris." Well, we went to Paris, all right, by train, and they had a barracks there that was run by the Army. And that was the last I ever saw of them. I had my orders to go to report to First and Fellbrook and outside of Munich, in Germany. And, as far as I know, those other guys are still in Paris.
Well, so you ended up outside of Munich in Germany. What kind
No,
of...
that was a replacement depot. First and
okay.
Fellbrook. It was just a short distance from Dachau, if you remember, prison camp. I was shipped up to Wiesbaden, Germany, and was sent to the 51st Troop Carrier Wing, headquarters squadron. And of course, at that time, Wiesbaden was Air Force headquarters for Europe. And I, fortunately, I got bunked in with a crew chief, and he took me down to the flight line, and based on the fact that I'd been an automobile mechanic and machinist in my civilian days, most kids are, you know.
Yeah.
And so anyway, they gave me aircraft and engine mechanics MOS to get me assigned to it. And I think it was about the first day on the flight line I was working on, I was assigned to the commanding general's B-17.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. And so I was on my hands and knees with a whisk broom and the dustpan, sweeping the carpet when in walked, climbed in, got into the fuselage was the general's pilot. And he said, "Butcher, are you Butcher?" I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "How would you like to go to crew chief school?" And I said, "I'd like that fine." He says, "Pack your bags and be out front of the barracks 4 o'clock tomorrow morning. There'll be a staff car to pick you up." So I spent 30 days in crew chief school and came back a crew chief.
So
And then I was assigned to a C-47 and, as assistant engineer. And the engineer on the plane was a fellow named Richardson. He carried an aircraft and engine mechanics license as a civilian for Douglas Aircraft. And of course Douglas built the C-47s. And the C-47 is the military counterpart of the DC-3. Those civilian days. And so I had a very able, capable instructor to turn me into a crew chief engineer. And he went home, and then the airplane was mine. And I flew all over Europe, all over free Europe, and occupied Europe, the American zones, and into England and Belgium and France, Germany, Italy. I know the Swiss Alps. I know the Alps, I'll put it this way. The German Alps, the Swiss Alps, the Italian Alps,
okay.
and the French Alps, and the German Alps. And I don't care if I never see the Alps again.
How come? Because they're so difficult to fly around, and
For one thing, we got lost one time coming through the Alps. We were lost for about 45 minutes, and that's no fun. And we couldn't get over the peaks because we were carrying a load back from Italy. And the peaks were higher than what we could climb. And that was a little touchy. And then after that, I was on a lot of search missions in the Alps. We lost a lot of our Air Force in the Alps. So.
Did you find very many remains?
We found one. We found one plane, one C-53 went down that was going from our base at Tulln, was outside of Vienna and Austria, and they were en route to Paris. And the pilot was Captain Pate or Tate. Captain Tate, I think it was. And he was son of the commanding general at the base in Austria. And aboard was his mother. She was going back to Paris. But there was pilot, co-pilot, radio operator with the crew. And there were a total of 11 people. The rest of them were civilians. One was a 9-year-old girl at the time. Another was a reporter. In the crash, they wandered up in the opening of a U in the mountains, made by the mountains and the glacier, in that U horseshoe. And they went in the snowstorm. And at the last moment, they saw the glacier and pulled back on the stick, and they pancaked the C-53 into the glacier. And so it stayed all in one piece, didn't catch fire or anything. And the radio operator broke his wrist. The co-pilot got a broken leg out of it. And of course, we knew all this later, And the radio operator sent out a signal on the radio every hour, on the hour, and during the daylight hours. And we flew for 5 days, I think it was, looking for him. And we were taken off from, by that time I was flying an A-26 attack bomber. And I had Colonel, it was his airplane, and it's actually my airplane, but he rents it.
He rents it.
Anyway, I'd have to get up about an hour before we were going to take off and get the plane warmed up. And of course, it was all gassed up the night before, and we took off in the dark and headed south, and he would have a fixed area that we were assigned to and then we landed after dark with our landing lights on. We didn't have any runway lights on the base yet, and so we were landing after dark with the plane's lights. And then I still had to service the plane and get it ready for the next day. And so it was cold. It was a cold meal that I could, whatever could scrounge at the mess hall.
Sounds like you must have had somewhere around 18-hour, 20-hour days.
It was terrible. Well, at noon we would land down at Istres, France. We had a base there, which was near Marseille on the Mediterranean. And we would get a second fix, or second area to search. And so then we would fly over that area, and then we would head for home as dark approached.
Was home Wiesbaden?
Wiesbaden, yeah. Yeah. I think it was on the 5th day they found the wreckage, and then we went down. We were going to drop a radio set to them, but we got down there and they already They already had a radio set. Anyway, they sent the Swiss Army Air Force, what do you want to call them, sent one of their biplanes, and we could see him come struggling up over the mountain peaks to get there, and he came in and he flew right into this open horseshoe, and he cut loose with a parapack, and we came right down and hit the fuselage of the plane. I don't know what it was. I hope it wasn't breakable, but he hit it and then climbed back out of it. And it was a sight. But
Were there any survivors?
they said, oh yeah, they were they were cold, but
They were cold, but they had some.
Oh yeah, this was in I think this was in October, and fortunately we had good weather. We had a week of really good weather because we flew every day. We flew all day long. We didn't get into any storms, and of course, at night, the sun would be shining on in the daytime, and of course, with that aluminum fuselage, right, it would warm up, you know. But at night, it gets cold too. I think it was sub-zero our temperature at night. But they sent the Swiss sent an alpine team up with sleds and brought the folks out. Fortunately, he landed on the far side of a crevasse that was in ran all full width of the glacier. But we were originally a part of the 12th Air Force, which Jimmy Doolittle formed after his raid on Tokyo. And we hauled the 82nd Airborne from England into North Africa, and from North Africa into Sicily, and from Sicily into Italy. And so then they assigned our wing to Wiesbaden Air Force headquarters in Wiesbaden, and we became the airline basically. We were flying the VIPs and military personnel, you know, and VIP civilians and so forth, as well as Army troops. GI truck drivers, we take them up to Bremen and drop them off so they get a boatload of trucks and drive them off. You know,
So how long were you there, stationed there?
I came home. I got over there in late '45, and I came home, and I got home in about February, I guess, of '47.
47.
Yeah, I was over there, I think 13 months.
So
Over 13 months.
I was wondering if you'd heard anything about from the reconstruction plans, which turned out to be the Marshall Plan.
Well, I went back when I was in industry. I went to U of M and got a degree in mechanical engineering. And I went back. I was assigned. I was chief engineer, different places, and I finally was assigned to the corporate offices in Milwaukee, and I was assigned to. I've been all through research and development and design and field shooting and manufacturing and the whole 9 yards. Everything, invention. Writing articles for the company magazine and all this, you know, everything. So I've had a very interesting life.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was assigned to the corporate offices in Milwaukee and to take over product safety and liability for the corporation. And so I was their expert witness in these products liability suits. So one of our staff attorneys and myself went to Europe in 1980 to research regulations that they had on crane safety. and had dealt with mobile cranes, truck cranes and
Okay.
crawler cranes, this sort of thing. And so we went back to, we went to England, Holland, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Germany, all in what was about 15 days, something like that. And interviewed government people as well as industry people about crane safety, and preparing to get ready for one of our products liability trials dealing with cranes back in the States. We understood that the plaintiff's attorney was going over there, but what happened was we went, and then when we got back, plaintiff's attorney simply deposed me.
Okay.
He got the information for free.
Yeah, I was going to say, you paid that bill, didn't you?
Yeah, sure did.
Oh.
Any experiences you'd like to share with us from your time over there during the war?
Well, I told you some of them.
Yeah.
Those are some of the more interesting ones. We knew, see this, I guess it's for this story that a lot of things that happened there, I'm sure, did not get back to the States. The Yank newspaper was severely what we say,
Censored.
censored. It's the word I'm looking for. I have one of these senior moments. Censored, and so that the news didn't get around to over there. It also didn't get back here, I'm sure. I got around all over Europe, so I knew from talking to fellows at other bases in Berlin, and when I was in